My plan for this week was to do a piece about Dissidia and point out how laughably insane the whole thing was. Not bad, mind, just completely fucking raving mad. Then I realised that my usual approach to this would be to do a facetious plot summary and then clock off early, but when I sat down in front of my computer I realised that I had no idea where to start. Should I start where Dissidia 012's story begins, since that's where the chronology starts, or maybe I should start with Dissidia's story so that we can establish the premise. So Dissidia's plot follows all the characters from the other FF games who are here because they were summoned from their own plots, and when they go back they presumably need to finish them, but apparently the Warriors of Light hasn't even started his by the time we finish the entire thing, and apparently we need crystals to escape the cycle, but we don't in 012 because Lightning and Yuna and all that bunch snuff it, but their games haven't been retroactively declared non-canon, so they must have got back somehow, and You know, sometimes there's a little part of me that wants all games to have storytelling like FTL. You're fucked, off you go, son. Anyway, you might have heard that I mentioned a certain pink-haired protagonist in the last paragraph, so I suppose we better get on with it, and Christ knows I've been putting it off. Jim Sterling once did a completely objective review of FF13 as a satire of the oft-made complaint that reviews aren't objective enough, but I'm genuinely starting to think that it might be easier that way. Final Fantasy XIII is a video game available on some consoles and PC. It has 2 sequels, one of which is available on PC and one of which isn't. Some people liked the style of FF13 and others didn't. These others probably didn't play the sequels, but some of them might have. The storyline of each game relates to the previous one, except for 13, as there wasn't a previous one. See, that makes everything much easier, but you didn't come here to hear me talk about things without a degree of bile so worrying that Galen would recommend an entire bucket of ice cubes, but bad news, I quite like the Fabula Nova Crystallis series. I don't know why, so you won't totally miss out on your bile, but that's life. So with that out of the way, let's get out our tinted glasses and wait for the fireworks. Final Fantasy XIII. FF13 follows a band of 6 heroes on their quest to defy fate in a manner that could be best described as doing exactly what they're fated to do. On their quest, a whole bunch of stuff happens that could be described as thrilling, but is best described as patently ridiculous. Their misadventures range from killing a godlike being through fleeing from the law to killing a demigod before killing the same demigod again on a bridge on a different planet, before killing him one more time for good measure, but this time they do it next to a pool full of protodermis. The level design was done using an Etch-a-Sketch right up until the point we reached the Archaealty Stepper, or however the hell you say that, where we mercifully get a level designer who knows how to use the fill tool as well as the line tool. The battles range from incredibly dull to control annoyingly hard, only managing to find the excitingly difficult sweet spot once or twice. But hey, better than nothing, I guess. Final Fantasy XIII, West Bromwich Albion 2. Final Fantasy XIII 2, The Temple of Doom, picks up where Final Fantasy XIII left off, which is to say in a situation where all outstanding plot threads have been resolved and there was no need for a sequel. FF13 2 therefore retcons in Lightning's disappearance, allowing her to play MacGuffin du jour for her sister to come and rescue. Thankfully, Lightning sends a companion for Sarah to go on her quest with, but the companion wasn't helpful enough to actually know what to do. We therefore set off jumping between realms at different points in history with no clue of how it will help or why we should care. This time the story could be described as dramatic, but could be better labelled as frankly ludicrous as we change time and Sarah is slowly killed by following the orders of a voice inside her head that commands her to stop following her orders right at the end of the game when it's a bit late, really. The game finishes with Sarah dead on an airship before Chaos, which manifests a bit like sentient flying Branston Pickle, sweeps across the land and eats it, leaving Lightning encased in crystal on the throne of Valhalla with a poignant lack of Vikings to keep her company. The gameplay has remained largely unchanged since the previous instalment, with the major exception that Square had the balls to sell us the ending to our game separately, a move which paid off since I bought it, though I assure you I won't be sending them Christmas cards anymore. Lightning returns, Final Fantasy XIII, when will this shit end? After at least some people complained about it, Square changed the gameplay in this one so that it's not provably better, but it is at least objectively different. This time the battle system is centred on changing very quickly and being inept. We're also constantly told to get a move on, but given enough time that we run around like idiots for the first half of the game, then fart about doing sod all for the second. But we aren't here for gameplay, we're here to listen to a story being told by a mad person. At least some years after the end of Final Fantasy XIII, Lester Tigers 29, Lightning awakes in order to return. Ho ho, I see what you did there, Square Enix. Anyway, it turns out that she's been recruited by God to shepherd people into the new world that he's busy making since this last one fucked up so spectacularly. He talks to you in the arrivals lounge of the Munich airport via Hope, a tosspot from the first game. However, all characters have lost all emotion, possibly because God took it or possibly because Square had to fire all their writers. Over the course of this game, the plot does some things that could be described as episodic, but are better described as unconnected, garbled nonsense. The game builds itself around approximately 5 random events before the finale, and these are as follows. Lightning pointedly doesn't make love to Fang in a ruin, Lightning gives a kid his soul back, Lightning stabs Noel in a back alley, Lightning punches Snow in a castle, and Lightning punches Caius in a different castle. After we stumble through this confusing bollocks, we find ourselves in the courtyard of a church, which we then have to fight our way through to find a portal that takes us to a hypothetical realm where we have to... Actually, I'll let you guess what we have to do. That's right, we have to kill God, and I feel this takes the biscuit somewhat, as most JRPGs thinly veil God before you kill him. But here we can't even put the effort in, and God created the heavens and the earth, and has long been worshipped as God, and literally calls himself God, which just isn't trying. So there we have it, Fabula Nova Crystallis in a nutshell. I haven't nailed down why I like it yet. Maybe I'm just a retard. However, there is one small part of the series still left to cover. Final Fantasy 15. Oh yes, Square Enix, did you think I'd let you get away with this? No sir, you cannot simply repackage something and pretend it's something new altogether. I tried that with Anthrax and I've just been advised not to finish that sentence.